Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel, The Gym Shed Guy, with me, Steve Lewis. Today I'm going to be making a spaghetti bolognese. A lot of people think I just eat chicken and rice and protein shakes, so this is just to show you that I do eat normal food. Even if I'm on a diet, I try and have at least one red meat meal a week. On a diet, that'd normally be on a Friday for a cheat meal, also be carb loading. But if it's not under a special diet, I'd have it any night of the week. This meal is really good because it's red meat, so it's got a lot of extra fat and a lot of iron, which you possibly not having enough of if you're just eating white meat and plain rice. This is also a really good meal because it's got spaghetti, so you can eat a lot of carbs. It's really easy to eat. I struggle to eat boring carbs, so it's a meal I like, it's a meal that's easy, and if I can do it, so can you. So follow what I'm doing and check it out and try for yourself. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I do before I start cooking is wash my hands, and I also wash my hands regularly throughout the process, just to make sure I'm keeping myself clean. Hate it when I see people cooking without washing hands, especially if they're serving it to someone else. Okay, wash them, dry them, and then the first thing I actually do in the process is turn my cooker on. Bit of olive oil. I know there's fat already in the meat, but I don't want it to stick. I know it's a non-stick pan, but pans always stick anyway. So turn my extractor fan on, turn my heater on. Everyone's different for the different heats, so I just got it on high to start with, and then when it starts to smoke, I'll turn it down a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I do with all the food is open my meat, and then I can brown that in the pan. So make sure I cut off all the label, as we have to recycle where I live. So just waiting for the pan to heat up a little bit, and then I can stick this into the pan. And then while I'm waiting for the pan to get hot, I can start to prepare all my other ingredients. Okay, so first thing I do is cut my onions using a really sharp knife. Hell of a good knife this is. Light enough to do little thin jobs, but heavy enough to do the sharper stuff as well. So yeah, start cutting my ends off the onions. Then from top to bottom, just slice the end, and then you should be able to peel off the top layer. Sometimes they're a little bit harder to get off than others. Okay, first of all I cut it in half, and then using the sharp knife slice it, spin it around, slice it the other way. Same again this one. Spin it round, cut that way. There's one done. When the onions are in the heat, they will reduce, as in they will get smaller. So it looks like you got two big onions, but by the time it's cooked, there won't be that much really. So again, cut the ends off, top to bottom. Other side, top to bottom, not all the way through, just through, it feels like 2 layers, just enough so when you get your fingers in there you can peel off a couple of the layers. If it's green underneath, you might want to do it again, peel off an extra layer. Okay, there you go. Same again. Cut it in half, Start with the ends. It's only going to be cooked anyway, so no one's going to see this. So it hasn't going to be any certain sizes, any certain shapes. It's not going onto a dressing, onto a salad. It's not going to be in a restaurant. It's just going to be fried, browned, and then added to a sauce anyway. So there we go. That's my onion. Then I'll add probably half a green pepper, half a red pepper. So start off with just getting my sharp knife, cutting around the bit I don't want, down the middle, down the middle. Then that's the bit I'm not eating this half at the moment, so put that to one side. You're left with the white seeds inside. So I just open up my recycling bin, scrape the seeds into there. I'm sure one or two won't hurt you, but I might as well get them all out. There we go. And then I just thinly slice. Again, you haven't got to be too fussy with the shape or size of these. Every pepper's different. Group it all together, and then I cut them then again into slightly smaller pieces. Bunch that up together. Same again with the red pepper. Cut around the head of it, or whatever you call it. A little slice from top to bottom, other side from top to bottom. There you go. So you're left with the part you don't want for this time. That'll be good for a couple of days for a different meal. Probably later on I'll cook chicken and rice for the next few days. So I'll do a chicken and rice with peppers. Again, so scrape out all the inside. You don't want any of the white part or the seeds. So there you go. Just the red part. Oh, another seed there. Just the red part. Same again. Just like the green pepper. Slice them long ways. Group them together and then slice them again into smaller pieces. Don't worry about the shape or size. There you go. Now just check on my pan, making sure that it's getting hot. Okay, so just to test for the pan, put your hand over the top of it. If it feels warm, there you go. Look, a bit of smoke. It all depends on what type of oil you're using. At the moment, I think I'm using a light olive oil. So it depends if you're using an extra virgin olive oil or whatever. Depends on how much smoke you get. So I'm not an expert on smoke, on oil, but I know that feels quite hot. So I just turned it down a little bit, and I can start to brown my mince. Okay, so I've got my mince ready. Got it in the tray. There will be a bit of juice, a bit of blood and a bit of water in the meat, especially if you've defrosted it from frozen. So when you're tipping it over, you might get a bit of splash into the pan. Also, once you tipped it over, there will be a sheet of like paper at the bottom of the meat. So make sure you remove that as well. So get my flipper. And watch this, look. Make sure you remove that. You don't want to be eating that. That can go in your tray. And quickly, you want to break it all up before the bottom of it starts to burn and go brown. So you want to keep it moving, break it all up. Give it a bit of a stir, turn it all over. You've got to break it all up, otherwise you won't end up with a cooked meat in the middle. It'll be brown on the outside or burnt, and it'll be soft and not cooked in the middle. Okay, so make sure you break it all up into little pieces, just so you're cooking it properly. I'll leave that for a few minutes. It'll be okay for now. So back over to the ingredients. Mushrooms. For one spaghetti bolognese, I'll probably use about half a box of mushrooms. Obviously depends on the size of the box, but you see the box I got here. I've got one big one there. I'll probably use about that much. Yeah, I like mushrooms. Yeah, I'll go for about that much. Because they're not fresh, they're still a bit dirty. First of all, take them to the sink, give them a rinse. Okay, so now I wash my mushrooms. It's up to you now. If you wanted to, you could pull the stalk off and peel the top layer of skin off the mushroom itself. I find that, why do that though? You can eat that and you can eat that. So as long as you washed it, it's not damaged and not rotten or bruised, well then why not use it? It's food, isn't it? So each mushroom, I cut it down the centre, one half at a time. I then slice it, and that's it. Depends on the size of the mushroom. I might chop it again the other direction. Like for example, this big one here, I cut it down the middle, slice it into small pieces. And if you've got any big pieces like this, if you wanted to, you could give it another chop again. Again, like the mushrooms and peppers, in the heat of the pan, they will go smaller anyway when you're browning them. So don't worry if they look a bit big at the moment. There you go, just chop them up. Try and stack it up. It's all going to go in the pan together anyway. Okay, go over to the meat, check on the meat regularly. Okay, so you don't want this burning. So flick it over again. So it's brown on the top, red on the bottom. Make sure it gets cooked evenly through. Now I've used the 5% lean mince. So 5% fat, 95% meat. You can get cheaper, but less quality really of mince. 10%, 15%, 20 or 25%. You'll find that that's a load of crap. I hate that meat. I wouldn't buy it myself. And when you're cooking that, you'll notice, see if I make a space here, if you had the 25% meat, see this liquid here, this would be full, a lot more. Obviously this is 5%, so imagine 10, 15, 20, they'd probably be full to there of water, fat. Now, even if you're bulking, why would you want to eat loads and loads of fat? Because if you have a look at that fat after when it's cooled down, how white it is and dried, and that's what goes in your arteries. So even though bodybuilders and trainers want to be big, at the end of the day I still want to be healthy, so I buy the 5% lean mince. Right, that's not looking too bad. Okay, what I'll do now is, now that's browned and is sealed, I'll add some salt, some pepper and some mixed herbs. So over here, ready. Pepper, just normal brown pepper, black pepper, give it a bit of a shake. Salt, this is normal table salt. You can use like Himalayan, the pink salt, rock salt, but everyone needs a little bit of salt in their diet. That's the amount I have. Mixed herbs, if you know what you're doing, you can have the separate herbs. I don't know which one goes in here, sage, parsley, thyme, but I just buy the mixed herbs because It's quicker, easier. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. That's enough there. There's obviously more herbs and salt and peppers in the bolognese sauce itself, but this I find that gets the meat tasting nice. Okay, right, that's not far off, that isn't. You want to be brown but not burnt, making sure there's no pink bits and making sure you've broken up as many lumps as you can. Okay, standard sizzle quite a lot, so I'll turn the heat down because that's almost ready to add the next bit. Okay, so back over here, just finish off the last few mushrooms.
Click on the space.
Obviously, if I wanted to, I could just move them off this board, but I want to use this board to carry them across to my pan. So if I can keep them on this board, it makes it a little bit easier for me. And I don't want to chop on this. Here we go. Here's a top tip. You get in trouble for this. If you're using a nice sharp knife, especially if you've got one of them ceramic knives, which are really sharp, use it on a wooden chopping board. If you use it on your surface, you'll obviously scratch your surface. The chopping board is nice and soft. You can cut on there. If you use, like here, a slate chopping board, all you're going to do is blunten your knife. So that's why I'm not chopping on this board here. So yeah, wooden board or plastic board. If you're cooking for schools or in a workplace, you'd obviously have your plastic boards with your red, your white, your colour coded system for health and hygiene. I've just got a wooden board, but I'm not too worried at home about my meats and stuff. I'll make sure I wash this board if I'm going to use the raw meat and then vegetables, but for today I'm just using the one board. Okay, so that's all chopped, that's all ready. I'll now take this across carefully. Okay, so it's ready to add into my meat. Just use my thing to push it all in gently, making sure you don't waste any but dropping it on the floor. You see, a lot of people, is another tip or another pet hate of mine, just tipping it all in. Food goes everywhere. 1, you're wasting food. 2, you're scruffy. And 3, you're just making more mess for yourself to clean up after, unless you're just scruffy and you don't clean up anyway. So if you want to keep it a nice clean kitchen, don't make a mess in the first place, then you got less mess to clean up after. Okay, as he says that, he drops some bits on the floor. There you go. So I'll just put that in the sink ready, and okay, so you got your vegetables into the pan. It looks quite a lot here. It will go down in a minute. Just make sure you stir it all up. Like I said before, with the fat from the meat, if there was an excess of fat, because you did buy the 25% fat meat, drain a bit off, so you got a bit less. There will be more liquid, moisture, water from the vegetables in a minute, so I'll just do that all in one. Saves having to drain off twice, I'll just drain off in one go. So give that a bit of a stir. There we go. Another thing I do, leave a plate on the side. Another hate of mine is when people, they're stirring things, get sauce on the spoon. What do? Put the spoon on the side. Nah, put it on the plate. Don't be a scruff. While that's cooking, you can now do a bit of cleaning. Get rid of your trays. Okay, so the next ingredient I'm going to add into the mix is garlic. You can either add in your own fresh garlic that you've chopped yourself. If I was going to do that, I'd probably add in 1, possibly 2 cloves of garlic. No more than 2. It depends obviously how big the meal is. For this size saucepan, yeah, I'd probably go for 1 clove, which is about the size of that spoon head there. For today, I got this garlic, lazy garlic, already chopped. There we go. So it's a smaller size spoon than a normal teaspoon, but getting the light, about that much I'm using today. Stick it in the middle, making sure you stir it thoroughly. There you go, and that can go back in your fridge. Okay, so now all you gotta do now is making sure you keep stirring this. You don't want to cook it too much because you're still going to heat it up when you add the sauce in later. So the meat was browned before you stuck the vegetables in. Now I'm going to cook it enough until my vegetables go slightly soft. So not brown like you would have in your hot dogs for your onions, but just until they're starting to go a little bit soft. So you will have to taste them if you're the chef. Don't use your hands, get a spoon, don't double dip, making sure you making sure if you do use a spoon to eat it, to taste it, you then wash the spoon before you use it again, unless obviously you're making it for yourself, and then you can do what you want. But if you're going to serve it to other people, try and be clean. Remember that other people don't want to taste what you've been eating. Okay, leave that for a few minutes. Okay, so while that's cooking, just a quick recap of what I've done so far. I got my beef mince. I chose a 5% lean mince, not the 20-25% fat mince. I opened up the packet and I browned that in the frying pan with a little bit of olive oil. I kept stirring it, broken it all up, make sure there's no pieces that are hard, so it's not going to burn on the outside and be soft on the inside. I left that for a few minutes to cook, and then I went over to my chopping board where I cut open 2 onions, about half a packet of mushrooms, half a red pepper, half a green pepper. Just cut them up small, as finely as you like, no special size or shape. I then transferred that into the frying pan, stir that together with the mince, making sure that it's all going soft and not burnt. I also added in a spoon of garlic, or 1 clove of garlic if you're using the natural garlic. With the mince, I also added a sprinkle of salt, a sprinkle of pepper, and a small sprinkle of mixed herbs. Okay, so as long as the meat is brown, I know it's cooked, because you can have a steak, beef steak, when it's rare, so there's no blood coming out of it, so I know that's cooked. But I want to make sure that the vegetables are cooked enough as well before I add in the mixture of the sauce. So you want to have a little random test of onions, a mushroom, and a couple of peppers, making sure you're using a clean spoon. So just have a little test every few minutes, that they're not crisp, they're quite soft. Yeah, I could tell from previous experience that onion is a bit too crispy, so I'll leave it another 5 minutes and I'll test it again. Just make sure you keep stirring it, flicking it over so the tops are the bottom and the bottoms are the top, and hopefully it should be cooked thoroughly all the way through, evenly. Okay, so once you're happy that the meat's brown and the vegetables are soft enough and you think you're ready to add in the sauce, the next thing I add in is tomato puree, or peeled plum tomatoes from in a tin. The one I got today is tomato puree but in a little small tin, so I'm going to add that in first. You find that sometimes bolognese sauce is a little bit too watery, so you add in some tomatoes or some puree, just thickens it up, makes it taste a bit more tomatoey. I'm also going to add now my jar of bolognese sauce. Depending on how big the mix is in the saucepan, depends on how big the jar is. This one is a 750 gram family size jar. Obviously if you're cooking for yourself or a smaller portion, you can use a smaller jars, or you could just use half of this jar and put it back in your fridge. I think it'll last for a few days. Make sure you stir it properly so that tomato puree mixes in with it all. And then once you've got it stirred properly, you can turn the heat back up to bubble it. I'd normally boil it and then turn down the heat to let it simmer until it's ready. You can either serve it straight away or let it sit for a few hours and then serve it later on. The longer you leave it, especially if it's a long time, it does taste a little bit nicer. I think all the flavours mix into the meat, and you can even use it the next day. Tastes nice a few days later. Okay, so once you've got the sauce mixed into the mixture, you can now turn the heat back up until you see bubbles in the sauce, and then you turn the heat down slightly just so it simmers for quite a while. Keep doing taste tests every so often with a spoon, making sure that you're not going to burn it or make the vegetables go too soft. Keep stirring it in the bottom so it doesn't stick to the pan, and then serve when you're ready.